Hey, Exit the Matrix, Bob here. Hey guys, this is my first podcast I'm doing on NDEs, and I have a special guest here with me. He'll be my first interview on this. His name's Levi, and he likes to go by Reverend Leviathan. So, how you doing, Levi?
Doing pretty good. Thank you for asking.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, thanks for reaching out to me. Um, that's awesome that you're watching some of my lives, and I'm assuming if you are, you're probably vibing with a lot of my viewpoints and stuff. And if not, that's cool too, you know.
I
But
get a lot of information. We have a lot of similar views on stuff.
that's awesome. Well, you definitely will on in that live cast. For those that didn't watch it, we were talking about a wide range of things, but near death experiences came up, and Levi had mentioned that he's had some experiences with that. So I reached out to him and asked if he would like to talk about that experience or those experiences, and he was all game. So here we are, guys, and so I'm glad to have you on, Levi, as my first interview in this. And you know, the reason we are doing this, folks, is because it's very important that humanity learns that we are immortal spirits. And these are my beliefs from my various studies, research, my whole life, that, and according to quantum physics and such, that we are immortal spirits, that we do not go through this heaven or hell, like, decision once we're out of the body, and that we're all fractals of God, everlasting spirits, and there should be no fear of death. It's a natural part of our experiences. And
Sounds
we've probably been here multiple times, according to my estimations. And Earth is a classroom. It is a game in a sort, and it's a sandbox that we come to experience the third dimensional reality. So Levi, anyways, man, I'm gonna turn the focus on you. First off, do you want to give me some backgrounds about you before we get into your experience? Anything, or you'd like to say, just so people get to know you a little bit, and then we'll kind of dive into your experiences.
okay. Going into the first NDE, the first near death experience, it wasn't even like I crossed over or anything, but being younger when I was preteen, before I was a teenager, I was in church, Southern Baptist, studying, growing up as an adolescent. Being an adolescent, we tend to play games and do what we do. Yeah, I was part of the church choir and all that, but we still play games. We're kids.
Yeah.
In the basement of the church, how come there's five or six of us children running around and we're playing tag? Just kind of scenario of what's going on. And as I'm running, I'm making the tag and I slip on the rug that 15, 20 people have just ran over and no one slipped on it. But as I slip, I catch everybody, I'm pretty sure, the old school foosball tables with the little, you got to spin it and whack.
Oh yeah, great game.
I caught one right here.
Ooh.
It was just a centimeter from my eyeball.
Ooh.
I told my mother and everyone that was in the ambulance, I felt something pushed me. There was something there that I wasn't going to experience losing my sight. It was close, scared the crap out of me. I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah,
scared
that's
my
scary.
mother, it scared everyone else. But there was something there with me that said, no, no, hold on, hold on. You're going to see a bunch of shit. You need your eyeballs because you're not going to believe it with your eyes. You need to believe it with your heart, you need to look at this and just be like, okay. That was the first time I actually started to, okay, well, wait a minute. That was really, I could have died. That would have hit my brain.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move forward a few years. I'm camping. I'm like 15, 16. I'm sitting here playing my little Sega Game Boy with my cousin and a couple other people. Now, I tell people I did not directly get hit by lightning because everybody always, did you
Mm.
have, you got the cool scar? No, I don't have a scar. I literally, and I'm going to say this, it's being live. I excremented on myself and I urinated on myself because as I was moving away from the tree got struck by lightning. My cousin and everyone trying to warn me, I can't move faster than the speed of light and sound. That it, boom, everything
Yeah.
went white. It felt like like a flash grenade, like flashbang.
Wow.
It was like immediately I woke up and I was in the hospital. I was in Cleveland Memorial ripping wires and EKGs and stuff off of me. Like, what just the fuck? Everybody around was crying because apparently I died for 7 minutes. I could see y'all.
Wow.
I was in the room. Where are you saying I died? What? My brother
Wow.
and my cousin, they can corroborate. My shoes were smoking. My shoes were melted. Holy crap. I lived? What the hell was that?
Whoa.
All I seen was big, like I said, flashbang. I was physically blind, but I felt like I was still there with like, hey, I'm right here. No one could hear me. No one could like. Wait a minute, I'm still here, but y'all. Oh shit! And about the time that I had the realization of I'm laying on a table. I felt another flash, and like I said, I woke up. I'm ripping stuff off. They hit me with the little clear shit. Electricity just went through me for the third time. No, I'm good. I am completely like, okay. It sent me, what had happened was it had sent me into cardiac arrest and I apparently died.
Mm.
Fuck.
Wow. It's interesting, if you don't mind my interruption real quick. I've listened to over hundreds of NDEs, you know, read about them, studied them, and it's interesting because a lot of people that have them, it's because of lightning strikes. Like it's more than you would think. I even listened to a lady one time that like 3 times in her life she's got hit by lightning, which the chances of that's like, I mean, there's got to be something divine like involved in something like that, you know.
Something like that,
So
yes.
if you don't mind my asking, so okay, so you wake up in the hospital, right? They said you were dead for what, 7 minutes plus, you said,
About
you know,
7 minutes is what they said.
and then
Like,
they brought you back. So do you have any memories of being outside of your body during this time?
no. Like I could see everything that was in the room. I could see the people, my cousin and my brother being sad. Like it felt like me trying to like everything was mute. I couldn't hear, I couldn't see. It was like I was being shown something and I realized it or I don't know. Like I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to understand it.
Hmm.
It was I visually like remember the ride to the hospital. They say I was out on the stretcher. I'm just laid there. I seen the ambulance. Like that's what makes me think it was an out of body experience because I actually
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you mind if I kind of dig in a little bit here? So I mean, it sounds like they're saying you were unconscious, but yet you were watching all this, right?
I I feel like I was physically watching it, but it like now as I'm older, it felt like a dream, almost like a simulation type. Hey, this is what your life is. How they
Mhm.
say your life flashes before your eyes. No, I did not see any of my childhood or anything that I regret or that I've done so happy. No, I watched myself go clear.
So you were you watching that like from a different perspective of like looking
It
up from your
was,
body? Were you looking at it like from above or like a 360? Sometimes I hear people say it's like a 360-degree view almost when you're outside of the body. So it's almost like you see you're aware of everything going on around you.
it was like almost, this is going to sound really cliche, but it was like Matrix camera style. Everything is all at once. I can see this. What the hell? Why am I on a table? And I don't
Wow.
like, I don't, I said, don't know how to explain it. It's just, it was, it was scary, but at the same time, it was a learning experience.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so when you were, so this is something else I want to kind of touch on because I find this is pretty similar to when you were in that when you were outside of the body and you were having that kind of that 360-degree matrix style view, um, did it still feel like it was you, like your consciousness, your ego, your personality?
In a way, no. Like it felt like, I guess, more like I could expand. Like I had the knowledge of, I know what this dude over here is behind me is writing down. I know my girlfriend at the time was back here in this chair. Like I could see as the eyes in the back of your head. Everything. Holy crap! Where did all this knowledge come from?
That's man, that's amazing, Levi. Because you know, something else a lot of people talk about when they're outside the body, they say it's like getting a download. It said like if you focus on like you want to know something, you instantly like know it. It's like a download. And they say like you feel a lot bigger than a normal body because your consciousness is like once it's out of the body, it expands, right? And so what you're explaining about knowing like what your girlfriend was doing and what they're writing down, from what I've seen from a lot of people that maybe don't go to the light, but they pop out of the body. They say that's kind of a normal thing is that the downloads of info, the awareness, and then sometimes people say even they can kind of feel the emotions of the people in the room, you know. But that's interesting that you said you even knew what they were writing without seeing it. Like, so it's almost like the intention of their thoughts you were picking up on too.
I guess like I said, I really didn't know how to explain it, but as I got older, I already was studying metaphysics and string theories and stuff like that. It just helped fuel, okay, well, like I said, other than that flashbang, and then um, what happened? Like I felt like I was still physically there, but apparently I wasn't.
You know, you know, if you ever have a chance, if I were you, maybe you don't want to, I get it because it could be trauma too. But if you ever feel like it, if I was you, I would maybe look into somebody that does like regressions, you know, not past life, but just regressions where they can put you under hypnosis and take you back to that time. I would be, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you did experience some stuff in that time period after the flash or during the flash, because when you're outside of the body, time is different, you know? And sometimes it's later on that those memories start to unlock, or somebody that can put you under that hypnosis and take you back, it can unlock those core memories that maybe, you know, you just haven't fully remembered yet or it hasn't been unlocked, you know? And
I
maybe
haven't.
maybe in the future at some point. it's gonna totally unlock. Maybe you have dreams about it or something, or realizations, epiphanies. That's something that I've heard a lot too, is typical of that. Sometimes it's later on down the years when
Mm.
somebody starts to remember more about it. It's but it's interesting, Levi. So I want to ask you, do you think that there was a specific reason that happened to you, that experience?
Now, looking back at it, I do believe there was an intention that, okay, look, you're going to learn something, but being me, I'm hard headed, so I had to learn the hard way. And in doing so, hey, if we can kill you, well, I learned a few lessons. Came to a few, as I say, epiphany, lightning just struck my brain, like almost literally.
Mm. Wow. So do you have any like lasting health issues from that, or did you get any kind of like maybe spiritual abilities that were awakened from that? Because I've heard sometimes with like lightning strikes or near death experiences, um it can unlock like certain psychic abilities and stuff, or enhance them, maybe see auras or have some more stronger intuition. Or have you experienced anything like that since that happened?
Since that, I've had other experiences. I was in a car wreck that caused some trauma, but like through everything, I feel I am more empathic. Like I have a little bit, I can sense other people's, like you mentioned auras,
Hmm.
but that's through all the experiences. That also helped to, okay, well now look, you need to understand why this happened. So I've done studies and tried to almost self regression
Hmm.
and tried to figure it out on my own, but I have not thought about the hypnosis.
Yeah, it's something you might, if you ever run across anybody out there where you live, you'd be surprised. There might be somebody that can help take you back, because it is interesting. Because there's a lot of people that have near death experiences. Um, a lot of times they say that in your soul contract, when before you come to Earth, that you'll set up like certain like events in your life. Like when we're here, it's free will, right? However, the before you come here in that soul contract, you can set up certain things that you want to experience when you come here. And so the whatever you want to call it, the universe or the quantum field, will set those guideposts up. And a lot of times for people, near death experiences are like a wake up call, because it pulls you out and then it takes you back into that kind of in between realm, but where you can get those downloads. And sometimes that's where you can meet with like your higher self or spirit guide, um you know the entities from the higher realms. And sometimes they'll give you guidance and stuff. Or so there might have been, sometimes people say that maybe they were on a bad like track or something in their life, and when they get that near death experience, it kind of like is like a wake up call. Do you is there anything you want to like talk about, any of those things I said?
It kind of shocks you awake, like you said. It's a proverbial slap in the face. It's the, hey, the last one that I had was about 7, 8 years ago. I don't have a license because I chose for the longest time, because of anxiety and other issues, not to have a license. So I ride a bicycle. I make the joke now because, like I said, it's been about 10 years. I got hit by a Dodge Ram. I
Oh.
didn't dodge it, it rammed me.
Dang.
It broke
Jeez.
forward and punctured my left lung.
Wow.
After they told me that we reinflated your lung, we pulled a 2 liter of blood out of your lung. calm down. Don't smoke. Stress.
Yeah, I feel you, brother.
Right.
Man, that's
Right.
crazy. So did you
Breathing.
were you unconscious after that accident for a time?
As soon as I honestly got hit by the Dodge Ram, the moment of impact, I stood up in the middle of the road and looked over towards my bicycle. It was immediate. I'm going to be late for work. You fucking hit me. Like, it was some gentlemen, some construction workers working on an apartment that ran over and was like, "Bro, you just got hit by a truck. What are you trying to do? Go to work?"
Wow.
No, stop. Sit down. I'm good. And as soon as they made me sit down, oh, broke rib. Oh, look, there's blood in my
Oh,
um there's a problem.
gee, did the guy do a hit and run on you? Or
It
did
was
he
my fault. I was riding the bicycle with no hands, picking at my fingernail, trying to get something.
Jeez. Oh, wow. Dang. Man, you got like 9 lives. Jeez. Man.
I've been through it, but I'm still here. I feel because there is some divine force or some knowledge that I'm supposed to pass on. There's something through my writings, through my channel. I'm doing something.
Yeah. So I noticed you like to go by Reverend Leviathan. Um, do you do any kind of like religious work or like mystical teachings or is there anything connected with that connotation?
Well, I go by Reverend Leviathan because Leviathan was the moniker given to me 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I'm 41. So, yeah. But there is another gentleman. He is a friend of mine. He goes by Reverend Leviathan. So, him and
Oh
I are not to
wow.
be confused, but it's two Reverend Leviathans. He does
Dang.
he does gothic metal music and gothic rap. I just do local paranormal investigations. I travel. I do weddings, funerals, baptisms.
Oh wow.
I look at. I do more of the metaphysical and cryptozoology stuff. Like
Okay.
the
Awesome.
other gentleman, Reverend Leviathan, does the shows and music and stuff. Whatnot. I don't know. I just write a whole bunch of poetry and lyrics and just random stuff in my notebooks, notes on certain cases. I just
That's
recently,
awesome.
I just recently
So
went up to Indiana and did a wedding.
awesome, man. So do you do like ghost hunts and stuff like that?
Here recently, not so much, but in the past few years, yes, I do paranormal investigations. I do, um,
Nice. Did you write that?
no, I did not.
Oh, I was gonna say,
Um,
holy smoke, that looked like a thick book too.
Carol Mack and Diana Mack wrote it, but
Okay.
it's an introductory field guide to demons and demonology. I've got, well, locally, I have cards, business cards set up. And if you feel there's a presence or not just demonic, or you feel there's some, I'll take a look. Like there are things that can be explained. Most things can be.
Yeah. So
Every
you're
now
like
and then.
is it a demonologist, right? That can helps with exorcisms and stuff like that, or like cleansings and awesome, man. So I guess that's interesting. So the stuff, that type of work you do. um, what is your take on like disembodied spirits and stuff roaming the earth? Well, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
And on like disembodied spirits and what they say spirit, and you and I mentioned it earlier, it's Einstein's theory. Energy does not die, it just changes form. There is no and stop. No, someone like, okay, for example, me. I explained it to my mother the other day. I get up, go to work, come home, watch cartoons, repeat.
Yeah.
I am in that loop. If something happened and I unfortunately got hit by a car or something on my way to work, I'm going to be stuck in this loop. There are going to be instances where people will see me in this area and
Mm.
on that route because that is what your energy is used to. That is what we have become accustomed to.
Mhm.
I've tried twice. I have not gotten a positive response. I've gotten a no, but I want to go where I'm at currently, like I said, is Richmond, Kentucky. I want to go investigate this Perryfield battlefield down here and
Mm.
the Battle of Richmond. That was almost, I can pretty much ride my bike to the Battle of Richmond. I want to do some EVPs and some investigation there because that same thing with the disembodied spirits. There are people, their energy, they put everything into this is what we have done. We're fighting for this. Their energy's
Mhm.
still there. They know
Yeah.
nothing else but that.
Yeah, definitely. So, I used to live in Colorado before we moved out here to North Carolina,
Nice.
and we used to like to go up to the Stanley Hotel, that's up in Estes Park, and of course that's the one that's tied to The Shining, the movie. The original Shining, they didn't film it there, the Stanley Kubrick one, but the made for TV remake of it, like in the 90s, they actually filmed that at the Stanley. And I'm sure you've seen Ghost Hunters and some of those shows, Paranormal State. Well, they've done episodes there, and they came to the conclusion that because the Stanley Hotel is situated on a huge quartz rock outcropping, that quartz almost operates like a recorder of energy. And of course we know they use quartz in our phones, silicon, right, and all that. They use it in modern electronics and stuff for memory and all that. So it makes sense, right? So they were saying that most of that activity at the Stanley is just like residual energy that just keeps playing over and over like a loop. Do you think that's what a lot of what people think are ghosts is just like a energy signature that just keeps like maybe playing like a residual?
A lot of it is, yes. Like where I'm at in Kentucky, there's a few miles, but Mammoth Cave, the different caverns that run, there's caves all under this state. A lot of people's energy, like I said, that's all they know. They're going to be in that loop because there's limestone, there's quartz, there's all these minerals that, like you said, it's a battery. They
Yeah.
just hold that energy and just run it back.
Hmm. So you think that's what do you think because of your paranormal like research and all that? What do you think the percentage of what people think are hauntings are just like this residual like playback, of energy and opposed to maybe actual like entities that are, conscious entities, that can actually interact and such. What do you think maybe a percentage of what most people experience?
That was what I was getting ready to mention just a moment ago with what you said. There are, like you said, those entities that are on a loop. Then
Mhm.
you have, just like I mentioned, the battlefield, someone that has died a violent death or a very I've heard stories that my grandfather, his feet felt like they were burning and his feet were on fire because a lot of people doesn't realize, but Shakespeare wrote it. Hell is empty. All the little devils are on earth. Like we're all here. That's
Mhm.
there are
Interesting.
mortalities, there are those, but I'd say it's about 80% of 75, maybe 74% of what people claim to be. It's just residual. These people are doing. They don't care about you. That
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say you're spot on, man. I mean, I don't really watch those shows anymore, but years ago I used to be hardcore into like Ghost Hunters and Paranormal State and what was the other one? Ghost Adventures, with that Zach guy. And I
that
mean, yeah,
banging.
I agree with you. I think probably most of what people experience, including in their houses when they think they're haunted, are just a replay of the people that used to live there before. And you know, I sometimes wonder, Levi, if like when we do cross over, when it's our time and we leave our body, I think because we come from a higher vibratory like dimension, I think that when we go back, there's like you have to shed that negative energy and it stays here on earth in this third dimension because it has no home in the higher dimensions because there is no like polarity or duality in the higher dimensions, you
As
know.
our interactions, all negative, all emotional shit. As we go up, it goes. It's almost a friend of mine and I were talking about it the other day. It's the chakras. You are
Mm,
aligned, and as long as you stay aligned, that energy can ascend.
mhm. Interesting. So a common thing that comes out of a lot of NDEs of like people that actually have the remembrance of actually going to the light and all that. A lot of times you'll hear in NDEs that um, there's like this void, like if you leave the scene, like you were in that scene just outside of your body. But sometimes people that go past that and they leave that and they ascend or they
Nothing.
start heading, out of that area. A lot of times they say they end up in this thing called the void. And a lot of times, like people mistake that for hell or something, like the bottomless pit, right, in the Bible, because it's like a pure darkness. Sometimes it's called the womb, also, of the universe. Um, but a lot of people say that they don't really feel scared there. It's like this weird feeling of comfort, but it's pure dark. And the only thing that's kind of scary is that they can't really see anything. It's all black, like the purest black. But then eventually they start seeing that pinprick of light. Well, a lot of times what psychics that deal with a lot of people that cross over, they say that there's like a 3 day, or at least it'd be equal to Earth days, 3 day cleansing period. And then before you can actually go to what we call heaven or the higher dimensions, your body has to shed all that negative energy before it can move on. And what I find interesting is, if you don't mind me going off on a tangent for just a minute here, um, I don't know, have you ever read the cuneiform tablet, Inanna's Descent into the Underworld?
Years ago,
Okay. Okay. So not a lot of people have. But what I've actually found, there's many allegories in that story, but there's an interesting allegory that I don't think anybody's ever brought out, but I see it clearly when I read that story. Because of course, for anybody that's never heard or read Inanna's Descent. Sometimes it's called Ishtar's Descent to the Underworld too. But Inanna's the original, going back to the Sumerian. Ishtar's her Babylonian name, but
uh,
essentially, it's in
Mesopotamia.
a quick breakdown. It's a story of Inanna. She's the queen of heaven. She's a goddess, and her husband Dumuzi, who's called the Good Shepherd, which is interesting, right? Speaking of Yeshua and such, um, he dies and he's brought to the underworld. And so she decides to go save her husband because that's her spouse, and so she's gonna go retrieve his body and try to bring him back from the underworld. So she has to go through all these gates and going down into the underworld. And each gate she comes to, there's like a guard that says, and this is all because her sister, Rishkagul, that rules the underworld, she tells her like, look, okay, or she tells her guards, look, you have to make her lose all of her powers before she's in front of me, right? I want her like in front of me, naked, defenseless, and powerless, right? So each gate she goes through, she has to shed her power, like one of her like magical like devices, like maybe she's got like a breastplate on that's magical. She has to shed that. And then her special jewelry that's imbued with powers, right? So every gate she goes through, she has to strip another layer of clothing or another power, until she gets into the underworld. And for anybody that hasn't read it, it's kind of a crazy story because like she finally meets her sister and her sister kills her, when she gets in front of her throne, right? And then they hang her body up on a cross for 3 days, in the underworld. And then that's when her maids and stuff that were that were above still that didn't go to the underworld, they send for help in the Lord Enki, who's in it's the serpent in the Garden of Eden. He's the brother, the opposite of Enlil in the Sumerian. Well, anyways, they devise a scheme to get her body back, right? And then when they retrieve her body off of the cross, they bring her up to up out of the underworld, and then she's given an elixir of life. She's brought back to life. But there's a key allegory in the story that goes over most people's heads because it is about spring equinox, but there's a resurrection story also in this. And it's interesting because to me, everybody thinks it means she goes from like Earth down to the underworld. But if you read it right, it actually explains she's in heaven and she descends from heaven. So think about this. When we come from the higher dimensions and we incarnate in Earth to Earth through the female portal, right? We shed all of our natural spiritual abilities like telepathy, instant healing, instant manifestation, all these powers we have when we come to Earth, we shed all of those. And then it's like going through that portal, the female womb is like we shed all by the time we pop out as a baby, all of those powers have been taken from us, right? And but when we die and we get, there's a resurrection that takes place, but it's 3 days of cleansing, and then you go back into your, you leave, then you're able to go back to heaven in your full spiritual form. And a lot of people don't recognize this, but isn't it interesting that as we're coming up on Passover, Easter and all that, and anybody that knows should know by now that's done research that Easter is Ishtar. It's the spring equinox celebration. But isn't it interesting how there's that 3 day resurrection story in there too? I'm not trying to say that Ainana is Yeshua, okay? I'm just saying that there's this very interesting allegory that's very similar to the resurrection of Yeshua. And it's 3 days, right? He's in the grave for 3 days, and then and then that's when Mary and the mother and Mary Magdalene like discover his body missing, right? So I don't I don't know if nobody's read that. I just it makes me think about that because they're even telling you in this ancient tablet that's like 4,000 plus years old, explaining this allegory of losing all your spiritual abilities, and then when you die here, there's a 3 day cleansing before you get resurrected back into life in the higher dimension, you know, like into your full spiritual power. And then you regain all your powers back. Like how you mentioned, just popping out of your body, you started getting downloads. You started um having, kind of an extra sensory perception, that you didn't normally have in the human avatar. So, anyways, man, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take away from your story, but I find that really interesting, that ancient cuneiform tablet. It
It's
makes you
all good.
wonder though, right? Because everybody says it's about the spring equinox, and then here it coincides with Christians' Easter celebration. And for anybody that doesn't know Ishtar, Easter, the reason why they have the eggs and they, they dip the eggs, they dye the eggs and all that, that was because during the festivals of spring equinox, originally with Inanna and then later on as Ishtar, they the reason why what women would do is they would, as the spring equinox was coming up, they would, if they were going through their cycle, they would dip the blood in the menstrual, or in the menstrual blood, and then they would leave those eggs on Ishtar Inanna's altars as a for good fertility. So it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I'm not trying to hurt any Christians' feelings here. I'm not trying to attack their faith. I'm just talking about it's interesting how there's these ancient, much older stories and allegories that are kind of similar to what you find in modern day religion and customs and and stuff like that. So
Well,
anyways.
going along with the tablets, the shedding of the powers, I've wondered myself just for years, maybe it's the reason the babies were coming through the womb. All of our memories are purged, all of our powers are purged. We're crying because we're in mourning. We're
Yeah,
crying because we've lost everything, and this is all brand new. Go
yeah,
into the light. The light is the womb. The light is being rebirth.
yeah. I mean, think about this. It's like the reversal, right? When um you know when you decide to incarnate, because they say we choose to incarnate on earth. So when your spirit enters that the fetus, right, in the mother's womb, or I don't know, I don't know if that conception happens at that spark they've shown when the sperm enters the egg, there's an explosion of light. I don't know if that's when the spirit enters in, or if it's later on, in the fetus as it grows. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but it is interesting how, think about it, you're in the dark in the womb, and then you see that pinprick of light, and then boom, you pop out and you're a baby. But then when you cross back after you pass here on earth, you go back into this womb, this darkness, and then you see the light. But this time when you pop through the light, now you're in the higher dimensions. You're back in your spiritual body. It's kind of interesting, as above so below, right?
They
As
say
below so above. So some kind of hermetic teachings and stuff there, man, wrapped into the spiritual stuff. But yeah, it's some like deep, deep stuff I don't think most people think about, but there's a connections there when you think about it.
a lot of people ain't ready for all this information.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I wanted to start doing these NDEs because for one, I love hearing other people's stories. And I love this like type of research because I think it ties in with quantum physics, with the hermetic principles, with a lot of the old ancient religious teachings and mystical teachings, the mystery school teachings. So, I think it's important for people to know and know that there's something like you already know 100% that you can be outside of your body, your consciousness. You don't have to question that because you experience that. What are your thoughts on that?
It's real. And after the accidents, like just past 10 years recent, I've been trying to focus energy on like astral projection and learning how to achieve that ability. I have, like I said, in the past 10 years, I've achieved what they call REM sleep. I can control every dream I'm in. I can wake up at any point. A friend of mine come in well, it was a few months ago, but for some reason, the dream that I was in, I'm on my back, flat in the bed, arms crossed. I was asleep, but he said it looked like that I was laying in a coffin. Sorry, that's where my brain went at that moment. Like,
Interesting. So if you're good at controlling your dreams, um, I know somebody you might want to look into his work. It might interest you because you may have the ability to do this. Have you ever heard of a guy named Darius J. Wright?
Heard of him.
Okay, yeah. He's been kind of making his rounds on YouTube and all that. Um, he since he was like, how was it? I can't remember exactly. I think he said like 13, 14, 15 or something. He's been having controlled out of body experiences. Like he knows how to basically put his body into you know, like when people wake up, sleep paralysis, and they freak out, they can, you know, there's a devil on their chest or whatever, and they because their body's asleep, but their mind's awake, their consciousness. Well, he knows how, he has a technique that teaches you how to go into sleep paralysis and pop out of the body. And he's been mapping um, the um, the constructs past the veil by doing these controlled OBEs. You know, so you
Huh.
might look into his work because if you can already do like controlled like dreaming and stuff, you know, where you're fully conscious, which is kind of almost a type of astral projection or travel in itself. Um, you probably have the easy propensity to do his technique to do controlled OBEs. So you might look him up. You know, you'd be surprised. You might, you know,
That sounds really interesting.
yeah. You got to look at his work. It's really interesting. Sometimes I tie some of his teachings into my understanding of quantum physics and out of bodies and all that. Um, Very interesting though. The guy's like, I mean, he even has diagrams of what Earth looks like, and he talks about all these like constructs of other like worlds that we can like experience and incarnate into, and it's really interesting, like his viewpoints on all that. And I found that most of what he talks about lines up with OBE or sorry, with NDEs and such. You know, kind of similar, except for you're not you're not traveling because your body's dying, the avatar, or having a medical issue, or you know maybe ayahuasca or whatever. He's doing it just because through controlled sleep paralysis. Yeah,
Natural ability.
yeah, kind of cool, huh? I would love to get him on someday to interview him. Super interesting guy. Um, You know, me personally, I'm not the best person at like meditation and all this because my mind is like, ooh, I'm always going like 1,000 miles an hour, man. I mean, I've got like so much knowledge and so many things, thoughts going through my head all the time. Um, it's hard for me to take that time and meditate properly, and I
Down.
have trouble. I've tried to do some of the OBE stuff, but I haven't gotten to the point yet where I can pop out, you know, and it's because of noises and everything else, you know, when you know, I've got dogs and my son and wife, and so sometimes, you know, it's hard to get to a really quiet spot with and be left alone long enough to do
Had
something like that. But cool, Levi. Well, hey man, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? You know, we're coming up on you know we got about maybe 10 more minutes or so, not that we have to rush or anything, but I don't know, is there anything else you'd like to talk about, you know, before we wrap things up?
well, you mentioned quantum theory and quantum physics. That goes along with string theories and dimensional theories about it. Now, it might just be me. It might just be my opinion, but you and I were talking about it on your last live. There are other beings, like it's saying in dimension. We can only see in this dimension, in the third dimension. We
Right.
can't. There are other things sometimes that just that's where the body goes for when you have an NDE. You are in that parallel. That's where I kind of believe I was. I was in the
Okay.
here, but I'm not here.
Mhm.
I don't know how that works other than quantum theory or string theory being I'm right there. I can almost touch you. I'm not there. Like
Yeah, it's almost like you're on in a it's like almost like when you pop out of the body, you're in like a parallel dimension or something, you know?
in
It's
a parallel plane.
or at least like there's like a veil so that people that are in the human avatar can't perceive. Like maybe if there had been somebody there when that happened to you with the lightning that is a psychic that has that sixth sense, they might have seen you out of your body, you know, at that point. But because they might have that sixth sense that most of us don't, which I believe we all do. It's just it's dormant in most of us, you know.
Animals have it.
Oh
That's
yeah.
why they say if an animal refuses to come up to, usually that means that's a sign that there's something, the animals are scared. There's a reason. I've told people for years because all of my family has dogs and cats. You ever sit and wonder why your dog's looking down the hallway or looking over this way and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden he gets real scared? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
man. It's it's interesting you mentioned that because back when I was about 19 years old or so, um, I lived with roommates. I mean, I moved out when I was 18. After I graduated high school, it was like I was trying to figure out college, Navy, all these different things, you know. And anyways, my buddy was a year older than me. He bought his first house when he was 18. So he was already 19. He already owned a home. Anyways, he had this dog and we had a lot of weird stuff that we lived in this like little house that was like from like the 1930s, you know, little like single like floor house, you know, and it had like a basement that was like a dugout basement, you know, and really kind of old creepy house, you know. And anyways, there are a lot of weird stuff would happen there, you know. Well, I remember this one time, me and my friend Miguel, we were just sitting on the couch hanging out. I think we were getting ready to play video games or something, or we were listening to music. I can't remember what we were doing, but anyways, my roommate's dog was sitting with us, and anyways, we're sitting there, and I kid you not, like we thought we seen my friend Jared like come up from like his room was in the basement. Like there was they finished the basement, and then there was the dugout, like rest of the basement next to it, you know. So him and his
Yeah.
dad had finished that. So, anyways, we thought we seen him come up, walk through the kitchen, and then go into the bathroom, you know, like near the living room we were sitting. And we didn't think anything of it. We were sitting there, and I swear, man, it was like 20 minutes later. We're like, I was like, what the hell's Jared doing, man? You know, like, you know, then we looked and like he wasn't in the bathroom or anything. So we are like, what the heck? Next thing you know, we hear footsteps go through the living room and go through the kitchen. And we heard the distinct creaking sound on the kitchen linoleum, you know, like somebody walking through the kitchen. And we look and there's nobody there, but guess what? It wasn't just us. The freaking dog sits up and it's looking like watching like somebody walking through the kitchen. I mean, so yeah, you're right, man. Dogs have that sixth sense. But we heard the footsteps like if somebody was walking, and the dog sure as hell heard it too, you know, because it reacted to it.
Funny you mentioned having that kind of experience. It was about 15 years ago. I was staying with a girlfriend of mine, but it was me and an acquaintance. We were staying in Bath County. Now, the house was old 1920s, 1930s house.
Mhm.
During the ice storm, I think it was a few years ago, 15, 20 years ago, they had a bad ice storm here. Power went out, and my friend of mine was like, well, I'll go in the basement and flip the breakers back on so we can have power. Long story short, he goes in the basement, and all we hear, he's got his flashlight. Oh,
Yeah.
and my girlfriend, her parents are you okay? I'm just looking around, looking towards the door, like, something happened. Like I had a feeling, but I don't know. I get feelings all the time. I'm weird, I guess. But
No, man, I don't think it's weird.
he comes back upstairs after exclaiming, "Oh!" says nothing to my girlfriend, her parents. They're looking at him. Are you okay? What happened? Power's back on, but he walks right past all of us and straight up the stairs to his room at the time. I'm being smart. The look on his face, the exclamation, something happened. So I follow him upstairs, and he's sitting on his bed, proceeding to grind up a little bit of cannabis and pack a bowl. And he's sitting here just toking for like 5, 10 minutes. He's just, nope, Levi, nope. And he goes to hand it to me, and as he's handing me it, what happened, bro? He tells me, he was like, there was someone in the basement with me.
Ooh,
Seen a gentleman from torso up wearing
wow.
looked like a gentleman's overcoat with a white shirt and a little white beard. About 3 or 4 months later, the mother of my girlfriend was doing research on the house, and apparently the photo of the owner of the property back in the 1800s, this is his land. He has
Oh,
not let
wow. Wow. That's
my
crazy, man.
friend of mine. That's him. That's him. What? Are you sure you seen him in the base? No, I'm good. Dogs were barking at that. No, no. The owner of the property here has not left. I'm good. This is his house.
Yeah, that's so that almost seems like that was more of an intelligent haunting than, not just a residual like replay like type of, haunting.
Well, according to what my associate said, he was over here turning the fuses back on. And when he went to turn around to come back out the door, there's someone standing right there in the dark,
Ooh, oh man.
like just staring at him. Just he didn't move, he didn't make a noise or anything. He was just standing there. He was watching what he was doing. What are you doing
Wow.
in the house?
I'm running out of there super fast, man.
Like I said, my dude immediately started smoking a bowl because he was like, nope, that was no, because he doesn't believe in supernatural things.
Well, he does now.
That that house itself, just like with the quartz is a battery, it collects energy. Houses
Yeah.
collect energy,
Yeah.
objects collect energy.
Yeah, man, because I mean, if you think about it, everything in this realm is a part of the energy matrix, the quantum field. So everything is just energy particles. Everything we think as physical reality is an illusion to our senses. It's essentially just energy particles at different density levels and wavelengths, you know?
This this lighter that my mother got me,
Yeah.
someone made this and manufactured this with their hand, so that some or a machine, so
Yeah.
energy into the process. The same
Yeah.
thing, like like you and I were talking about earlier. Indians and Native Americans, early eight, we didn't have the ability to go to Walgreens or Walmart and be like, "Hey, I got a band-aid, a boo-boo." We have to make medicine from what we have. We have to survive with what we have. So
Yeah.
much energy went into everything that we have.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, the reason why plant energy or plant medicine is so powerful is because it's conscious energy, you know? Um, that's why the pharmaceutical companies, they don't like people using, natural plant medicine because they want their synthetic, genetically modified, like, things, that typically have detrimental effects on you because it's made in a negative fashion, whereas if you go out foraging in the forest and you know the right plants to use to make like a poultice or like crush up, maybe put in your gums if you're having tooth pain or something, the plant likes helping you, if you're searching it and you respect it and you appreciate it, it will help you back, because it's consciousness and it wants to connect with your consciousness, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. And I mean, that's just my thoughts on that stuff. I think there's a yin and yang to everything. You can take that same plant though, and you can put it through commercial or industrial processing, and now it loses a lot of that positive energy and it starts to take on negative energy. Just my thoughts, you know. But
That's where side effects come in.
yeah. Awesome, Levi. Well, hey, man, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. It's been a fantastic conversation, man. I mean, I think this is going to be, I think a lot of people are going to appreciate this video, and hopefully we'll get some traction on it. It'll go on my YouTube video. Um, and if I can get it onto Facebook, I will try, but maybe I'll be able to make some reels out of it or something to move people over to watch it on YouTube. It's unfortunate Facebook used to let you download full-size videos, but now it's like they limit the size, It's like they just want reels and these like stupid little TikTok size videos, and it's unfortunate. I wish they would bring back the ability to upload full videos and everything. It'll let you do long lives on there, but it won't, for some reason, let you upload anymore, or unless they're blocking me from doing it. I haven't been able to, but anyways, man. So I appreciate you coming on. It's been some enlightening information. It was a fantastic conversation. I like
Thanks.
your energy. We've talked about some cool subjects. Um, for the listeners or the watchers out there that are going to see this, is there any ways people can contact you, or do you have social media accounts that you would like people to connect with you through?
I'm on Facebook, Levi Smith. They should. I don't have a picture at the moment currently because I'm under construction. But Fire in the Hole, Levi Smith, uh, Cash App, Rasta Levi 420. The
Nice.
only ways that I have at the moment to get a hold of me.
Okay. Awesome. Well, hey man, I appreciate you reaching out to me. We were able to line this up pretty quick. I just did that live the other day, and what was that, last week? End of last week or so. So we were able to get that lined up pretty quick, and I think this is an awesome first episode for the official Exit the Matrix NDE podcast. So I think that's probably what we'll go with going forward. And yeah, man, I would love to have you on again in the future, man. We could talk about anything, we don't have to necessarily talk about, well, to be honest, we kind of did go down a lot of roads already here. So,
Yeah, I would a
but
few.
it was really fun talking to you. Had a great time, man. And so, hey, it was awesome. Is there anything else you want to say before we cut the feed here?
No, thank you for the honor of being the first podcast. Have a good
Awesome.
night, everybody. Take care.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video. Let me see. Okay. That should stop recording. Hopefully I did it right. If not, I'll have to cut this off the end. But yeah, man, that was fantastic, man. It was a great video. It'll be a great first podcast for this, and um hopefully there'll be a lot more to come, and just keep cranking, man, and trying to wake people up, and teach people things outside of their normal uh experiences, in their normal universe. you know
Waking people. The, I I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I used to watch um neurotic something. It's a little animated cartoon squirrel. He's a hypochondriac squirrel who's he basically tells the truth about a lot of stuff.
Oh, really? Huh.
Like
Interesting.
I it runs through my head almost constantly because I forgive you, stupid people. That's all you can do is just forgive them because the old adage, you can lead a horse to water. Yes, but if you hold his head down under the water to make him drink, that's called murder. No,
Yeah, it's there, there's a lot of interesting you know, information out there if people look, it's just the problem is we live in a day and age where everybody gets so caught up in the normal like hustle and bustle that they forget there is a metaphysical world out there, and
yes,
that what they consider reality is just an illusion. We're playing a game, we come here and or we're in a movie. It don't matter whatever allegory you want to make, it's like Plato's cave, the or the Maya, like the Hindus talk about, right? The illusion.
I told a friend of mine yesterday, they sent me a message just checking on me, and I was like, this is just a chapter of my life. I understand that. Why does this chapter feel like it's directed by Stephen King? Like,
No, I know, I feel you, man. But remember, like the Hermetic teachings talk about, there's the what is it? The principle of motion, right? There's always and it explains it almost like the ocean waves, right? There's a tide. If the tide comes in, the tide goes out. There's a an ups and
every,
downs in all of our lives, right? You just
yep.
got to ride the waves. When you get that, when you're on the top of the wave, ride it hard, man. And when you're in the trough, you just hold on. Try to make the best of it.
I'm holding on at the moment. As soon as I get back up to that top, I already, like I said it to a friend of mine. I was like, I understand the human race is just getting into time travel and understanding that there is other dimensions and parallels, and the past could be happening right now as we speak. Like, but I just want to go back in time and slap myself with a fish, just to pick up a carp and smack myself because maybe I'll knock some sense into me and I'm going to save some of this money. We're not going to spend it and squander everything. And I'm going, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to tell people. People need to like, it's not just the waking up because people will only wake up if they want to.
Yeah,
Well, you can lead a person to knowledge, but you can't make them think.
that's true, man. Yeah, we're just look. I'm just looking for the people that are looking. You know
Yes.
that uh, uh, it's funny when I do my lives because anytime I get into some like really touchy stuff, especially religion stuff, man, wow, you start seeing people dropping off like flies. But you see the hardcore people, man, they ride it out all the way through. But then they realize by the time they end the video, they're like, oh wow, this has been some interesting information. So
It like my profile picture for the Zoom now that I've got it on the camera.
oh yeah, I could see you on there, but yeah, mine was doing that too. It's probably because a lot of times with Zoom you kind of set a time, so it's probably trying to get us off. You know,
Well,
I have
the
like a professional Zoom account, but
nice.
they probably still don't like us taking up their bandwidth much longer than the appointed time I put in there. So cool,
Well,
Levi. Well, I'm gonna roll, man. I think
have a good one.
dinner's here, and this is my second video of the day, so I'm sure my family's ready for me to be done for the night. So, um, but hey,
Have a
man,
good
stay
night.
in touch, okay? And
Definitely.
I might reach out to you again sometime, to have to do another talk. Maybe we'll even just do it on metaphysics stuff or
All right.
demonology or something. Or maybe I'll have you come on as a guest on a panel or something. We'll see,
Oh,
man. We'll see where this all goes. I'm still kind of figuring out all the tech stuff and everything, you know. But it's been fun, man.
yeah, it's been nice. Thank you. Have a good
Well,
night.
you too, man. Take it easy, okay?
All right.
Talk to you later. Bye.